In today's video, I want to take a look at the best low budget strategy for your e-com brand. So without any further ado, let's get right into the video. So this is one very small account and they are currently spending only £20 at any given day. So it's not much. So how do you get the most out of your budget? How do you distribute it the correct way? That's exactly what I'm going to tell you. So first of all, we have the campaign setup. The campaign setup in low budget areas should be super simple. And that is a one campaign only setup. This one campaign only setup basically combines testing and combines scaling. What do I mean by this is, first of all, how scaling usually works is, you have your winning ads, you put them into a scaling campaign, you would duplicate them into your scaling campaign, and then you scale up your scaling campaign and you continue to test, right? In a low budget scenario, we kind of combine these two campaigns. So, if we go in here, first of all, we can see 3 ad sets, right? But how this should be structured, how I would structure this is basically, we have one ad set in here which has winning ads in here, right? So once we have winning ads, and this, audience for this is broad, by the way. If you don't know anything about audience, I have a separate video about audiences. But basically, we're only targeting broad, so no targeting at all, right? We only we let the creative do the targeting. And this works. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But basically, what you do is you have one ad set, which is your winning ads. You test, and then you copy your winning ads into that ad set. So you would copy your winning ads in that ad set, for example, if this is your winning one, right? And then you launch new tests continuously with dynamic creative turned on. So what do you mean by this? So you name your ad set, put in the name of the content that you're testing. In this instance, it's Instagram content, right? Then you optimize your purchases and you turn this one on. Your dynamic creative, you turn it on, right? And this should be a CBO campaign, by the way. This one right now is ABO, but it should be a CBO campaign. We use no exclusions, only targeting the country, 18 to 65 plus, all genders, and then automatic placements, right? This is super crucial because the only variable that you want to test, especially if you're starting out, is the one which has the most impact. And the one which has the most impact is your creative. So forget about headline testing, forget about ad copy testing. The most important metric or the most important change that you can have is your creative. So if your creative is shit, you're not going to get any results, even if you have best headlines. But the other way around, if you have a shit headline and great creatives, you can get a good ROAS or good CPA, right? That's why it's so important that if you test creatives. And the best way to test creatives is by having, by only changing one variable. And changing only creatives is only changing one variable. So if you're testing creatives, you only want to change creatives. You want to keep the headline, you want to keep the ad copy, you want to keep the same audience, right? And the best audience for that is simply broad. So letting the creative do the targeting, right? And if we take a look at this, further down the line, we can see that this one right here has the dynamic creative. And ideally speaking, in here should be three ads at maximum, right? Why 3? This one has a little bit too many ad sets in here, too many videos in here. Or actually it is 3, but this one is turned on. So, you should turn this off because Facebook creates tons of variations based on that. But basically what's happening, if you put more than 3 creatives into one ad set, there is, especially at low spend levels, there's no significance behind that. So assuming, one ad may get $50 or may get like £10 a day in spend, the other may get another £10, and then it takes so long for anything to get real significance. And this is why, especially at low spend levels, I do this even at spending like 1,000 per day. That's why it's so important that you only use, 3 creatives like he did, but basically turn this off because otherwise Facebook will create tons of variations for you. Then, 2 ad copies at max, and then, usually 2 headlines at max as well. If you are completely a beginner, if you're completely starting out, keep your headlines neutral. For example, this brand is selling knee sleeves, and they basically just put their brand name plus knee sleeves as the headline. Why is that, the way to go, in my opinion? Because having a neutral headline is just, it is what it is, right? It's neutral, so it doesn't turn people off. But if you have a headline which may say, the best knee sleeves ever, then this may turn people off because it sounds scammy or whatever. And the best shot at kind of really isolating your creative is by having a neutral headline, a neutral ad copy. So in this instance, I think he did some testing prior to that. That's why he chose these 2 ad copies. But if you're completely starting out, take a very neutral ad copy as well, which can't basically turn people off, right? But yeah, then we have the dynamic creative, which acts as the scaling. So if you now want to launch a new test, right? If you, for example, in this instance, he's batching Instagram content. Let's say you'd want to test image ads. How do you do that? What you do is simply duplicate that ad set, right? You duplicate that ad set, which just rename it to, image content. That's all you do. Then in here, you just go in here, you change the ad name, obviously. Be specific also about your naming convention. These ones could be improved, but he has an understanding of what he's testing here. Weightlifting, no text, no code, and then Instagram content, right? So then you just go in here, you delete these, and you put in your images that you want to test. And this is how simple it is to test new creatives, right? And this way you can really compare different tests against each other. Because if you now have, let's say, one video in here, then you have 2 images in here. How can you compare, which one really works better? You simply can't, because you don't test by concept. So it's essential to test by concept. In this instance, it would be Instagram content, and then you have another one which is he didn't have a good naming structure, but this one would be 15% off. Right? This is an offer, more of an offer test. An offer test with only, again, in here we only have images, and they are grouped. These have the same concepts. This one is having a certain look, and this one is also having a certain look. They're different, but they're also somewhat of the same concept. Even for this one, it's still somewhat the same concept. It's a benefit-oriented ad, right? And this is how you really test. And then once you have a winning ad, you just basically, you launch a new ad set, you call it winning ads. And the only thing you do is you turn this off, you turn this dynamic creative thing off, and then you copy your winning ads in that ad set. And then this way you still have one campaign with a CBO, right? And only the good ads get spent. So let's assume that you have your winning ad set. You have your winning ads in here. If they are not good enough to get more spent, Facebook won't give them more spent. And this is why it's crucial that you use CBO instead of ABO, because with ABO, you may spend more, or you may believe, these are my winning ads, I should give them all of the spend, when in reality, that's not the case. Your DCT may perform better. It's still, there might be a better, different combination of who's getting what ad spend. So, keep the ad spend in CBO. But basically, this is how you structure ad accounts at low spend levels. You have one campaign, CBO, one ad set with only winning ads in there, and then one ad set per test with dynamic creative turned on. Each one of these has broad targeting, because we want to, have target the best audience possible and let the creative do the targeting for us. Essentially, let Facebook do the work for us. And this is how simple an account structure could look like, right? And if we take a look at how this account has been performing overall, right? So let's sort this by amount spent. He spent 52K, and his best ad previously was a middle of funnel campaign, and even, getting a 2.2 rows, right? Now with this better structure, if you take a look at this, and we sort this by maximum. Now the row is already increased. Why? Because the account setup, the campaign setup is better suited for this account, and he follows the best practices, right? And this is how simple it is to really scale up small ads, because now you can start, if he would have CBO and these results are good for him, you can simply start by increasing the budget on the campaign level, and the spend distribution would still be where it should be, right? But again, this is how I would scale small accounts and starting really at £20, £40 per day levels. And yeah, this is how you should structure your account as well.